What's up, everybody? Let's do a detailed comparison of the Lucky Speed Shop shorty levers and the One Finger shorty levers for 2015 and newer Harley-Davidson Softail model. My name is Ron, and here on this channel I tackle projects of all sizes related to the bikes I ride, and I also share information with you about the different products that I try. And this is video 3 in a 3-part series about the Lucky Speed Shop shorty levers for the Harley-Davidson Softail. In the first video, I covered the installation process. In the second video, I gave you my impressions of those levers after riding with them for several weeks. And in today's video, I'm going to cover the differences between the Lucky Speed Shop levers and the One Finger levers that I tried before I ended up with these. There'll be links to those other videos in the video description, so if you haven't yet seen those, be sure to check those out so that you get the full story. This video is not sponsored. I'm just passing along information to you that I've learned along the way, sharing it with you so that you can benefit from my learnings as well. As I mentioned, I'm currently running the Lucky Speed Shop shorty levers, and I'm really happy with them. I've been using these levers for a couple of months now, but I do want to give you a little bit of a backstory, because when I started this journey of looking for shorty levers, which goes back like 6 or 8 months, I was originally interested in the One Finger levers. They caught my eye, and I really wanted to give them a shot. I worked with them for a while, and I ran into something interesting along the way. So I wanted to give you a detailed comparison between the two and tell you what I learned as part of that process. So the Lucky Speed Shop levers and the One Finger levers are very different. So let's start with the similarities and then we'll talk about all the differences. The similarities are they're both short levers. They're both made of aluminum. They both work only with a clutch cable, not a hydraulic clutch, and they both utilize the stock brake perch. Aside from that, Lucky Speed Shop and One Finger use a very different approach for their shorty levers. The most notable difference is that Lucky Speed Shop uses OEM levers so that they fit perfectly into the stock perches on your bike. One Finger uses a proprietary perch on the clutch side, and their brake lever fits into the stock perch on the brake side. Now that's an important distinction, so keep that in mind because that really factors into what you'll learn later on in this video based on my experiences. So let's take a look at some of the other differences in these levers. With the Lucky Speed Shop lever, because it uses the stock perch, everything fits together like normal and will look just like it did before you even started the project to swap those levers out. Because One Finger does use their own perch, you'll see that it does leave a gap. So if you're using the standard switch housing and a bar that steps up from 1 inch to something larger, you'll see that you'll have a gap and you'll be able to see that step up where the bar changes. The Lucky Speed Shop lever gives you the same geometry because it uses a stock lever and a stock perch. So the force required to pull that lever is the same as your stock lever is going to be. That lever is just shorter. The One Finger lever, because they use a different perch and they've modified that geometry, it gives you about a 30% easier pull according to their website. The Lucky Speed Shop clutch lever uses the OEM bushing. The One Finger clutch lever uses a Japanese sealed bearing. With the Lucky Speed Shop levers, you get 3 different styles. You get the 6-block style, the trigger style, and the smooth style. Whereas with the One Finger levers, you get just one style. Conversely, Lucky Speed Shop gives you just one length in the levers, whereas One Finger you can choose between a 2-finger length and a 4-finger length. For color selection, Lucky Speed Shop gives you a number of different colors, from your basic black all the way to things creative like Space Force and Sour Diesel, whereas with One Finger you get either black or silver. The Lucky Speed Shop levers are painted. The One Finger levers are anodized. The installation process for the Lucky Speed Shop levers is super simple because you use the stock perches. Everything goes right back where it came from. And the installation process for One Finger is still very simple, but just a little bit more involved because you do actually have to swap out the perch itself. Aside from that, both processes for installation are very straightforward. In terms of the style of the levers, the Lucky Speed Shop levers are sort of wide and thin, whereas the One Finger levers are narrow and thick. And lastly, in terms of price, the Lucky Speed Shop levers cost between $150 and $170, and the One Finger levers cost between $180 and $185. So that sums up the differences between the Lucky Speed Shop levers and the One Finger. So let me tell you about my experiences with the One Finger levers. As I mentioned, my journey with shorty levers started like 6 or 8 months ago, and it started with One Finger levers and ended with Lucky Speed Shop levers. So let me tell you what happened along the way. I started with the One Finger levers and everything looked very promising, but I found when I installed the levers that it would not fully disengage the clutch. So even if I pulled the lever all the way up against the grip, I would not get clutch disengagement. And I even went and did a full clutch adjustment down at the hub just to make sure everything was good to go. And I did a video on that, by the way, which I'll link to here. And even with that adjustment and setting the free play, I still could not get full clutch disengagement. Now, let me immediately give props to One Finger. They were very responsive and very helpful in working with me in this process. And what ensued as I brought up this issue to One Finger is I first modified the first lever they sent me based on their instructions. That still did not address the problem. They then sent me 2 additional levers over the course of a couple of months, 2 different designs, slightly modified with slightly different geometries. Neither one of those levers would address the issue either. And finally, at that point, after having modified one lever, swapped out 2 other levers, I finally decided to throw in the towel and go with something different. Now, One Finger tells me that I'm one of only 3 people that have had that problem. I have no idea what's different about my bike, why that lever won't work on my bike. It works for all of their other customers except for me and 2 other people. So I'm not sure what that issue is, but nonetheless, it didn't work, so I had to look at other alternatives. No harm, no foul. Once we both agreed that those levers weren't going to work out, One Finger was happy to issue a full refund, and I went about my way looking for alternatives. And once I started that search, I realized there weren't a ton of options out there, but I did come across Lucky Speed Shop near the beginning, and they caught my eye right away. When I started looking at the Lucky Speed Shop levers, I really liked the different options they had available. I liked the styles they had available, and I liked the color choices. And obviously, that ended up sticking because those are the levers I went with. And you can see in the previous 2 videos that installation process and what my impressions have been with those levers. Overall, I've been really happy with them. Nothing but good results so far, and I feel like those levers are going to work for many years to come. And let me know in the comments if you've tried Shorty levers. Which ones have you tried? Have you tried different styles? Have you tried different brands? What have been your experiences? Did you run into any problems? Has everything worked as expected? I'd love to hear about that, so please share as much information as you can, and I'm sure the rest of the community would appreciate that as well. So I hope you found this information useful. I've done my best to give you an objective comparison between the Lucky Speed Shop and One Finger Shorty levers for the Harley-Davidson Softail. And if you did find this video useful or informational, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and share it with your friends. That really helps the channel out, and I appreciate your interaction with that. And if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell and enabling all notifications. That way you'll be sure to be notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the ride. I'll see you next time.